Olá pessoal, mais uma missão. Hoje trago-vos aqui in the Swamplands, missão 4. Espero que gostem.
King Robert was defeated, but there were more heroes whose life the ultimately vindictive evil was after. Here in the swamplands, the demigod Krotos was just leading the Alliance's troops against feral Naga clans. They had retreated here after the collapse of the Dark Army. It would seem sensible to first strike an alliance with these Nagas before the impatient evil squared up against Krotos.
Ok, vamos lá. Temos aqui vamos construir o nosso treasury.
The gold-greedy evil built the first underground treasury, thus laying the foundations for insane amounts of hoarded treasure.
Ok, treasury. Temos aqui... Isto é novo. Ok, vamos começar pelas coisas normais.
The first brewery was built underground. Later, orcs and goblins would get obscenely drunk there, and then meander through the dungeons, slurring their words and singing lewd songs.
Isto aqui não sei o que será. Isto é... Isto é mana. Isto é gerador de mana. Isto não sei o que será. Temos aqui outro.
Out there, the swamplands looked bleak and unfriendly. Not an area Charlie would surf in. The Alliance had discovered the presence of the ultimate evil. This had nothing to do with a tip-off from a certain narrator who wanted to increase the tension. It was pure coincidence. The good people responded, as you might expect, with a direct attack on the dungeon. Enemies have entered the dungeon.
Portanto, temos a receber o nosso primeiro ataque. Continuamos a fazer as primeiras construções básicas. Para já está tudo calmo.
A tinkerer's cave had been built. Soon traps and doors in the dungeon would make any would-be hero's life more tricky. There was a strange rock formation in the east of the dungeon. Whatever could it mean? A hospital had been built. From now on, wounded monsters could be cured there. There are countless spiders pouring out of a room that was accidentally unearthed. Disgusting. The fingers of a goblin devoted to the unspeakably evil impatiently tapped on the workbench. He was still awaiting orders to begin researching the guardroom. Of course, he did it behind the lame evil's back, as, after all, he didn't want the Hand of Terror to torture him in a most unpleasant way.
Sim, senhor. Vou aumentar isto. Portanto, agora já temos uma Trickery Cave, já podemos fazer aqui as investigações. Já temos o hospital.
Payday!
Temos aqui o hospital, já temos aqui a nossa brewery, temos vidas. Temos aqui bastante treasury, temos um aqui, temos um aqui.
The guard room was researched and ready for construction. Creatures that were thrown there by the Hand of Terror would keep watch and be especially vigilant for intruders. They were able to alert other creatures near the guard room and summon them for reinforcement as well.
Ok. Podemos fazer um guard room. O guard room basicamente é uma zona onde nós podemos pôr as nossas tropas que estão paradas. Vou pôr aqui. Será? Não tem gold. Portanto, eu posso pegar aqui num destes soldadositos, pô-lo aqui e ele, em vez de andar a passear, fica aqui parado a guardar esta zona. Portanto, caso os inimigos venham, ele está sempre aqui. É um guarda, basicamente.
There was a mysterious shrine underground, which was not yet available. Because something like this spells work for underpaid graphic artists, one can assume that it is likely to come into play at some time or another. The exploration Keen Evil sent its troops to the surface for the first time. The swamplands spread out before them. The next step was to either find the Nagas and recruit them, or be massacred by the army of the Alliance. It was a difficult decision.
Ok, vamos começar a explorar o exterior. Temos ali tropas.
In the distance, the ultimate evil's creatures could see a massive stone building. A Naga temple? Apparently, there was an entrance to it in the north. The horde set out in that direction. The army of the ultimate evil could view the temple from the top of the hill, and it did indeed not look good for the Nagas. The nauseatingly good hero Krotos personally led the Alliance into battle and was forcing the snake creatures to retreat. Only his death would deliver the temple back into the hands of evil. Well, that could be arranged. The troops of the ultimate evil stumbled upon a patrol of the Alliance that had caught some Nagas. Of course, they immediately set about wiping out the much-hated heroes. Oh, and by the way, you could of course also set those Nagas free. Payday!
Pois não tenho ninguém para me defender. Estamos contigo, Magduke. Dá-lhes, dá-lhes.
The last fighter in the patrol was defeated. Creatures of the Horde cheered. Oh yes, and set the Naga free as well. They were overjoyed to join the ultimate evil. The eager for new units evil sent his creatures further towards where it expected the Naga camp to be. The Nagas kept up their fight to free their unholy temple from the Alliance. If the ultimate evil was to help them win it back, then their support would be guaranteed. Since that fitted perfectly with the planned revenge on Krotos, it was the ideal solution.
Ok, vamos lá.
The approaching horde startled a few animals. Dinner. The horde defeated the bears with ease and stocked up on bear meat. However, as bear meat is not actually a resource in the game, this was utterly irrelevant. It's payday.
Morreu.
A small group of Alliance troops had gathered here. The presence of the Nagas ensured that the all-seeing evil could see even the cloaked units.
Ok, continuar a explorar.
At last, the horde reached the Nagas' camp. They were not able to offer the ultimate evil much help. However, they spoke of an artifact that was hidden deep down in the mountain. It would make defeating the Alliance a piece of cake. The Nagas opened a portal to the artifact using their ancient magic. The insidious evil debated briefly whether it was worth the risk. Finally, however, it decided it was only a question of its creatures' lives, and of course, the ultimate evil didn't give a toss about them. The horde had passed through the Naga portal and found themselves in an old altar chamber, in the center of which lay a very ancient-looking object. This had to be the artifact. Some creatures appeared to be guarding it.
Isto é subterrâneo. Isto é bem chato, um gajo ter que... Ou eu não sei, ou então está mal feito.
There were still a few guards merrily dancing around the artifact. These had to be removed. Once the artifact guards were eliminated, the artifact began to glow. It almost seemed to be waiting to be picked up. It looked as if the artifact would fit perfectly into the mysterious altar base that lay deep within the dungeon of the ultimate evil. Maybe it would be a good idea to place it there.
Ok. Será que é por aqui?
The artifact was currently lifeless. It needed some magic. The expanding evil's creature's next task was to expose some mana crystals. This mana would be necessary to charge the artifact up.
Precisas de ir para o hospital.
The mana crystals had finally been dug up. Magic crackled in the air. Oh no, wait, that's just the popcorn I'm making. But a mana crystal on its own was really of no value to the ultimate evil. It would take a crystal chamber to make this valuable asset usable. A room was quickly installed under the crystal.
Ok. Ok, já está aqui. Vamos lá ver o que é isto.
The crystal chamber shone with the brilliance of a freshly painted room. To exploit this effectively, the success-enabling evil was now able to recruit Nagas. At this exact moment, the clan conveniently placed some of these snake-like beings at its disposal.
Oh. Vamos defender.
Heroes have entered your dungeon.
Estou para lá a defender. Okay, money is a magical resource which is used to resource and cast spells, as well increase the population limit. The larger your crystal chamber, the more money you will be able to start. Sim senhor. Portanto, aqui estes spellzinhos todos.
Apparently, it had not escaped the notice of the Alliance's magicians that something disturbing was going on in the underground. So they decided to mount powerful attacks on the dungeon. But the ultimate evil had been warned, that's what I'm doing right now, by the way, and created such a formidable defense that it would have brought tears to the eyes of any tower defense player.
Ok. Temos que ver. Deixa-me construir umas traps. Isto e isto.
A cry for help from a few Nagas trapped in a very remote area reached the ultimate evil while it was defending the dungeon. Maybe they could be saved by using a spell, which was ready to be unlocked in the crystal chamber.
Então. To resist spell, click on quizeres chamber on spell, now select spells to be chance. Ok. Agora the panic retreat. Este. Ok. Vamos aqui. Spells. Panic retreat.
It's payday. The artifact continued being loaded with magic. It would soon be ready. The wave-by-wave tactics of the Alliance had so far proven unsuccessful. So, a strategic genius had decided to open up a second entrance to the underground in order to send, well, wave after wave of units into the dungeon.
Ok, precisamos aqui de... Então precisamos de uma sala.
The artifact was filled with magic. Neither did it take too long, nor did it go too fast. It was filled up exactly when the level designers intended it to be.
Okay.
The artifact was almost bursting with energy. It was now producing mana independently and ready to stand by the ultimate evil's side in the battle for the temple. It also gave the ultimate evil access to a few more magic spells. Now it was time to take the temple and destroy Krotos. The ultimate evil gathered all the troops together to attack in one devastating wave.
Ok, já vamos então. Espera só bocadinho.
The ultimate evil had learned a spell. This would enable the Nagas to be rescued. It immediately set about doing so. The spell ensured the Nagas' safe passage into the dungeon of the ultimate evil. Excellent work.
Então,
There are enemies in your dungeon.
já, mas agora já tenho aqui bastante tropa. Isto tem que ser assim um... Ok. Vamos lá. Vamos lá, pessoal. Charge!
Together with its Naga allies, the army of the ultimate evil stormed the Naga temple. The battle began. Heroes have entered your dungeon. There are enemies in your dungeon.
Ah, já perdeu o shield. Ora. Ei, fez summon outra vez. Toma. 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 Ei. Então. Miel não dá para fazer? Ah, dá. Vamos lá. Vamos lá matar o
It's payday. Heroes have entered your dungeon.
Deixa estar. Vais morrer.
It wouldn't be long before Krotos was defeated. Just a few more blows and he would fall. Hey, wait! What do you think you're doing? Come back, you coward! I mean, seeing that defeat was inevitable, Krotos opted for a strategic retreat, leaving the temple in the ultimate evil's power. The gathered evilness then burst the nearby dam, and the Alliance's camp disappeared under waves of water with a very satisfactory gurgling sound. Despite the soggy end to the Alliance, the ultimate evil was livid. It had just been robbed of a delicious revenge. But, if I may be so bold, that was yet to come. I saw it in the script.
Já está. Ok, pessoal. Espero que tenham gostado. Este já teve mais tropas, mais ação. Não se esqueçam de dar um like se gostaram. E esperamos o próximo episódio.